Well, if you're tired of being affected by other people's negative emotions and the general negativity, and you would like to get control over how you feel and perform during the day, then this is the video you've been looking for. Watch till the end because I'm going to explain step by step what to do. Alright, welcome all spiritual geeks and thinkers. I'm Jay from Aria, the channel of conscious personal evolution. And today I want to share with you a really simple yet powerful technique that is going to create a massive difference in the way you go through a day. And by massive, I mean massive. Feel free to test it out and share in the comments below. And here is a bit of theory to get us started. Well, firstly, the way we interact with the outer world and other people is not just through our words or body language, as you probably know. We are all submerged in the ocean of energy, and that ocean interacts with all of us, and we interact with it as well. So as human beings, as living beings, we project energy in different forms. Obviously, thermal energy, as in the heat that our bodies radiate, electricity that our brain and body runs on, but also we radiate subtle energies, astral energies, and those subtle energies affect us just as much as those discovered by traditional science. Alright, and here are 3 examples to show you how it works in everyday life. Well, firstly, think back to a time where you weren't in a great mood, you were a bit low, and a friend of yours decided to invite you to a party. And you didn't really want to go, but they insisted, so eventually you just went along. And once there, the vibe was great, and the people were so amazing that straight away your mood went up, even before you've managed to talk to anyone or meet anyone. You just walked into a place a couple of minutes in and your mood lifted, and it started being just as great as those of the people around you. So, sounds familiar? Hopefully it does. Say yes in the comments below if you're with me. Now, another example, the opposite of that. Imagine you were in a great mood and everything was great, but then you went somewhere, say a venue or a room, where something happened beforehand, and could have been an accident, or someone got angry, had an argument. You don't even know what happened, but as you walked into that place, your mood goes down, and you just start feeling low, feeling blue for no apparent reason. And again, does that sound relatable? I hope it does. And the more energy sensitive you are, the stronger that impact is going to be. Now, lastly, and I think that's relatable for most of us, a situation where you were on the train or on the bus on the underground, and suddenly someone walked in or sat next to you, and straight away you just shriveled, and you realized you absolutely wanted to get away from that person, and maybe you even hated their guts, even though you've never met them before, you had no idea who they are, you've never spoken a word to them, and so you probably felt weirded out by that, because it makes no sense. It makes no logical sense. Why would you hate someone's guts if you've never met them before and you don't even know who they are? And the reason for that is because their energy was probably bad for you in some way. So it could have been contaminated or toxic, or there was something wrong. And your mind tried to warn you subconsciously to get away, because it knew that being too close to that person for a while could affect you in a negative way. And so if that happens to you, you're not weird, it's not random, it's actually your mind's automatic warning system at work, and it's trying to work for your best. So do listen to that quiet voice. And these are not some really weird, outlandish situations. Every one of us, or most of us, have been through something like that, which shows you just how common this phenomenon is. And so what can we do to protect ourselves and to hold our ground, and so we're not impacted by what other people say, feel, or expect of us? Well, there is a way. And now I'm going to teach you how to build your very own, very powerful shield, and also blast some misconceptions along the way. Ready? Let's go. So the misconception number 1 that I heard being circulated around is that to build an energy shield, all you need to do is to imagine that you are surrounded by some sort of energy, usually white light. First thing, you wake up in the morning, and that is going to keep you safe during the day. Guys, that does not work. This is not how the Force works. So the way you really protect yourself is by building your shield, not by imagining it. And also, for a beginner, with the basic shields, they are not going to last for longer than a few minutes. So be prepared for that. If you need your shield multiple times during the day, you have to build it multiple times. And don't worry if it sounds daunting, it's not. It's super quick and really easy once you get the knack of it. So just remember, it's not your imagination. You have to build it to make it work. And just like with martial arts or self-defense, you have to train yourself up in advance so you can rely on your skills when the situation arises. You don't learn to build your shield right on the spot when you need it. Okay, your step number 1 is to learn how to sense energy. And if you've been already trained in energy arts, that's great. You don't even need this step. But for a beginner, this is how you start. You rub your hands together to activate the energy flow and separate them slightly. Now imagine a little ball of energy, say of the size of a tennis ball, like this, being created in between your hands. But what you need to do, you need to be able to sense that ball with your eyes closed. So if you close your eyes, you should be able to sense the warmth in between your hands, as though there is something there, because there is. And if you don't get it the first time around, that's alright, just try again. So eventually you will have this warm, tingling sensation in your hands. And that means that the ball is created. So for this part of the exercise, you can simply infuse it with some intent, say focus or courage or invincibility, learning quickly, discipline, whatever you want. And having infused that, by the way you infuse, you think of your intent, you imagine yourself having that quality, and now you imagine that energy projected out of your hands into the ball. Okay, so it gets saturated with that quality. And then you just push that ball into your solar plexus, which is underneath your rib cage. Okay, so this is your preliminary exercise. Now let's go to the actual shield building. The easiest way to start, if you've never done it before, is again by creating that ball in between your hands, but now you start breathing into it. So imagine there is a ball of golden energy that grows bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually it's so big that you fit entirely inside of it. And for extra security, you can surround the shield with a mirror layer on the outside. Now, if you did it right, you will notice that your mood changes straight away. You will feel calmer, you will feel more assured. If you had anxiety, it will subside or go away completely. In other words, you will become very peaceful out of the blue. And that means that your shield is working. Once again, remember that shield has no energy engine, so it runs on your energy and it's going to disappear after a while. So if you need it multiple times during the day, either learn advanced shields, and this is something I do, I teach people energy self-defense. So if you're interested in learning more, check out the link below and see if you're qualified for a training. But for the simple shields, you just need to build them up again. Alright, and here comes the fun part. So once you're reasonably happy with your shield building skills, get yourself someone to train with, a partner, someone who you're close to, someone who you're connected with, like a family member or a friend. And go through the same steps as before. Surround yourself with the mirror surface on the outside. And now notice how you feel about them and ask them how they feel about you. Because if you did everything right, what you will notice that that person who you know, love and trust may suddenly feel like a stranger, someone you've never met before. Which is actually kind of a weird feeling, but that confirms that your shield is working. Because you are now working with a really basic shield, so all it does, it blocks all the influences. And as humans, we are connected in our partnerships and relationships with invisible energy cords that send energy from us to that other person and back towards us. So that shield blocks that flow, and this is why that person can feel completely alien. And the same thing happens, by the way, when someone is upset with you or angry, because they close off their channels and the energy does not flow. And this is how you can pick up that something is off straight away, even if they're not admitting you or they don't want to tell you. So if your shield does that, it's great, it means that it's working. Now the next step is where you can fine-tune your shield, where it accepts all the positive and good loving influences and repels all the negative ones. And the way you do it, still with that person around, imagine their love coming towards you, going right through the shield as you're creating it, and being accepted by you. And now imagine someone else or something else that you feel upset about, and imagine that energy coming towards you as a dark wave, but being repelled and rejected by your shield. So by just using this visualization, you are programming your shield, you are telling it what you want it to do. So this is called a dynamic shield because it's something that you carry with you. But there are different kinds of shields, like the shields that you can use for your home or your car, the static shields. And they're really useful and they do work, guys. They actually decrease the probability of something bad happening to your property. And I have a funny story to share like that when a student of mine who had to park somewhere where he was not supposed to park. And in London, we have those parking restriction zones where you have to have a parking permit. So he didn't have that parking permit, but he had to park in that particular area to have something done. And so what he did, he put one of those static shields around his car with a protective symbol. And guess what? The parking guards somehow did not notice his car being parked there. And so he was safe. He didn't get any fine. I'm not encouraging you to bend the rules using energy techniques, but sometimes it can come in handy. Sometimes it can really make a massive difference in your life. So it's just something for you to be aware of. Now keep watching because the next part is also really important, and we are going to talk about removing your shield. And if you're wondering, oh, why do I talk about removing your shield when you just said they fade out by themselves? They do, but the way they do it, they just deteriorate to the point where they protect you no longer, but they still sap your energy. And they still interfere or can interfere with your contacts with other people. So in other words, other people can sense you being alienated, cut off, and they can't relate to you. So this is something you definitely do not want. Essentially, as a shield deteriorates by itself, it still has those parts of it floating around in your energy field. And this is what we want to avoid. So there are two ways I would suggest that you do it. Try them both, see which one works for you best. Way number one is visualize a very strong energy waterfall of white or golden energy falling from above and cleansing your shield, just washing it away in an instant. So that's number one. Number two is you imagine your shield exploding into thousands of little sparks, and you can then absorb those sparks into yourself. So that's step number two. As I said, try both, see which one works for you best. Because what may also happen is that some people develop shields spontaneously. They're not aware of that. And so they become like a knight in a shining armor that never takes his armor off. So he goes to the bathroom, to bed, walks indoors, everywhere wearing that armor. And it becomes really clunky, really heavy. And as I said, it drains your energy because shields of this type are actually fueled by the energy that you give them. And so you don't want to be that clumsy knight that always wears his armor even when it's not needed. And you always want to make sure that your shield is down when you don't need it and your shield is up when you do need it. Now, because of the increasingly dark energies being flooded into our world right now, this kind of spiritual self-defense, spiritual training is very important for your development, for your safety, and for your ability to help yourself transform your life and to lead others. So If that's something that you would like to train, and I would really encourage you that you do, check out the link below and find out if you qualify for a private training with me. Because guys, it changes people's lives. That's all from me today. This was Jay from Aria. Check out my other videos and leave any questions in the comments below. See you next time.